Long time no see. Wholeness, my dear Silvertree seeds. It's been about 3 days. I've been traveling, and so I didn't post anything for Saturday, Sunday, or for yesterday, but I will be making that up today. So, yes, I am here. I am present, and I want to continue to be consistent with my videos and to put this message out about forgiveness. And so today I really want to tie this into my own personal experience and just be more real and less scripted. Saturday I wanted to share a type of ritual with you, but I'm like, if I'm not practicing the ritual, I'm not going to share that ritual with you. I don't find that to be very honest, and it lacks integrity. So why do that? So today, I want to address how to handle the past, how to revisit the past, and how forgiveness comes up in very intricate and very human, relatable ways. So this past weekend, Friday morning, afternoon, I decided to visit my hometown, another state in the Midwest, to see friends and family that I haven't seen from 2 to 5, almost 5 years. And given COVID and given my own personal tendencies to just want to be alone, and I'm a hermit. I don't really like to go out of my way to visit people. I don't know, it's kind of weird. If you're in my hometown, I'm coming over. I'm coming, not every day, but I'm coming over at least once a week, maybe every 2 weeks. I love nurturing friendships and I love nurturing connections, but for me, it's heavily based on both parties. It's not just focused on just one party it's not, it should never be on one, coming from one side, and or only me. I've been in partnerships and friendships where everything was just coming from one space, from one person, and not the other, and it just creates this imbalanced connection, and bitterness, resentment, jealousy, anger, hurt feelings, all these things bubble up when it could have been avoided. So I kind of respect connections, the human connection, in a more intricate fashion than most. So with my personal relationships, if you're in my vicinity, and I'm talking about physically speaking, not through the web, that's a whole nother thing. But for me, it just the effort that I put into my relationships with other people is significant. And so it's significant enough to now I'm wizened up to be more picky and more intentional with the people that I'm interacting with in my life on a personal level. And it's still, sometimes it's still a challenge, because I'm all about wanting to connect with anyone and everyone, but anyone and everyone isn't always for you. And in the nature of revisiting the past, there's some beds you just let you let them sleep, right? You don't dig what's been buried. You leave it be and let it turn into something else. Let it evolve into something else. But in this regard, I was revisiting my past, my home, my land, the portal of where my life began. And it's been several years. I'm in the middle of transitioning into a new space, in a new part of the not new part of the country, but in a new space, in a very familiar place. New space in a familiar place. And it was very beautiful. I intentionally went for 3 days to see some people that I hold very dear to my heart, because I know myself. I'm extremely empathic, and 3 days was enough. And so, yeah, you know, with friends and family, family is the foundation of your life. And that's where you are, you know, what you discover what love means, you discover what support means or lack thereof, you discover what, you know, affection is or lack thereof, you discover what being wealthy or lack thereof means, what it means to show up for someone, what it means to help someone out, what it means to be a decent human being or not. Family is, they are our first teacher. Your mother and your father are your first teacher. Your mother shows you how to be a woman, or she shows you the feminine quality of life, and your father shows you the masculine quality of life. And please don't come for me with the gender roles thing, because you can have a father who's a single father and he has to tap in and tune into that feminine energy he has within himself. And then you have your mother who's a single mother. She has to tune into that very masculine part of herself. So it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with the energy and the societal, cultural, racial, ethnic roles that we play. And our parents and our families, our grandparents, our great uncles and great aunts and cousins and second cousins and babies and teenagers and our teenage relatives, you know, our 20-something relatives, our grown adult relatives, they all are the make up the fabric of who we are. And I had the chance, and I feel so happy and grateful to have had the moment and the gas money, because the gas prices, wow. But I had that wonderful time to revisit, and I come from a place, I just came from a place for the past 4.5 years, over 4.5 years, almost 5 years, in the desert, where no trees, very little water, hot, beautiful heat. You know, you pretty much have 3 seasons out of the whole, or 1 season throughout the entire year. And it does get a little chilly because we're still in the North American continent, and it was by far a very difficult and weird and sometimes challenging transition to get all the way out there. But at the same time, coming back has been weird and odd, and I'm asking myself deeper questions, and this whole thing called adulting, where you're asking yourself, okay, now what? I'm entering into another phase of my life. I'm no longer this young, ignorant thing walking around here like I know everything. I've learned some. And that's what going back home has activated in me. I was only there for 3 days. At first I was like, oh, let me go for a week. Happy I didn't. 3 was enough for right now. I do want to plan a longer stay. But it was a nice introduction back to the place that I'm from. I come from a city where there's rivers and very close to a lake. A half hour away from a lake, there's trees. It's a nice small city. And Friday was, it was really nice seeing my father and visiting with my mother. And, 5 years is a long enough. It's not so long, like a decade long, because a lot of things happen in a decade. But 5 years is a significant amount of time where things do change. And seeing my parents, getting older, wiser, definitely much wiser. Both my parents I've seen their growth, I've seen their evolution, and then a lot of things just stay the same. When you go back home, when you're revisiting the past, because here's the thing about time, right? We are taught in society, we mentioned in another video, that time is a very linear thing. It's very, we're taught, there's the past, future, present. But what we're not taught is that we can revisit timelines through memory, through physically packing up our bags and going back home, entering into that portal of a consciousness that we left. And now we come back to revisit that time. And that's what it felt like in a way. I was revisiting a time or a timeline in a space where things were moving and expanding and growing while I was away, but at the same time has stayed the same. Pretty much. They've built new buildings, they've torn down old ones, they've planted new trees, they've cut down old trees, they've opened new restaurants, new businesses, closed old restaurants and old businesses, but it still had a familiarity that I just connect with. It felt natural and normal, but at the same time it felt different and a little weird, but meeting up with my parents, I met up with my mother first. My parents are separated, so they live in their own spaces. And seeing my mother for the first time after 2 years, I haven't seen her in 2 years, and it was just, seeing the body age, but then still seeing her glow for life. My mom has this certain kind of glow that, I see it, and it's very kind of specific type of energy. So being in her space, because I visited my mother and father back and forth, throughout the weekend, and being in her space again and seeing everything that's changed and then seeing everything that hasn't changed, it was reflecting like I have changed, but then there are parts of me that haven't changed. And when you enter into the portal of going home, of coming home to your birthplace, all those memories, good and bad, all of a sudden subconsciously just bubble up. And the same with my father. I've been in constant communication with my father, like probably a few times a week, 2 to 3. Sometimes I think the longest we've gone without speaking would be maybe 2 weeks. But I haven't seen him in almost 5 years. And when I say that out loud, I'm like, that's insane. But we kept connected constantly. So it wasn't like I had no clue and I just rolled up on him and never spoken to him. No, it's never been like that. We have a relationship. I have a relationship with both my parents. Different relationships, but the relationship regardless I have with both of them, and seeing him and how he's changed and has stayed the same, and then the memories, both negative and positive, bubbled up, all up very heavy in my space, in my heart. And come Saturday, it was bubbling. I met up with a beautiful friend of mine. Hi, Krista. Shout out to Krista. She's beautiful. She's an amazing spirit, and we've kept connected. And she's a very busy mother and partner and businesswoman. She's also a wonderful photographer, and I'll check in with her if it's okay if I put her information down for her services. But she's amazing spirit, and just having connecting with her. And I have this beautiful thing that in my hometown, I've never, ever had issues forming relationships with people. With my family, with friends, with complete strangers, with lovers. In my hometown, I have this thing where complete strangers, I can bond with them really quickly and form connections, meet other people through these connections, and and I have this very intricate web of people that I know. And so I was sitting and having dinner with my friend, and a coworker I used to work with years ago, popped up, and she goes, "Hey, do you remember me?" And she had her mask over her face. I said, "No, I have no clue who you are." And she pulled her mask down. She goes, "Hi, we worked at this place together." And I said, "Wow, oh my gosh," out of the blue. And it's my second night in a place I haven't been in years. And, and it just all these visitations. And then come Sunday, I exploded. My heart just burst open, and it was raining. It rains all the time where I come from. And so it was raining, pouring, and my father and I, you know, again, that those memories are activated. Everything that you know, you go off to the west, you go off to the east, or to some spiritual place to go work on yourself, to work on self-development, and then it's like, you know, you do your spiritual stuff, your meditation, your energy work, you're working on yourself, working on your career, trying to get your finances straight, blah blah blah. And then you come back home, and all of what you've learned in the past few years, that the home is the place where you're put to the test. And I was put to the test, but not in a way of initiation per se, but more of a activating. My heart just burst open because I was receiving all the love from my family that I've forgotten about. You know, because here's the thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is really sneaky. Because forgiveness is the purest form of love, right? And, you know, forgiveness per se doesn't allow you to forget. You know, that saying, forget and forgive. No, you don't forget. We're not here, things don't happen to us and then we just, I don't know, forget it. No, that's not how it works here. I think that's a very misunderstood saying, and it's misused. No, forgiveness allows you to remember the bad experiences, but remember the love and all that came with it, right? And remembering the bad, but remembering the good, but all that came with it. So it's like this, I felt sadness for the things that happened in the past that were unhealed. Seeing their unhappiness and the woes that they've been going through or have gone through in the past 5 years, but at the same time being very happy and very proud of the things that they've been working through and going through. But the most importantly, forgiveness reminds you of the love that other people have for you. And when I'm speaking specifically in the arena of family, because what keeps a lot of people from going home or running away from home, you know, I know of plenty of relatives that have left states. I mean, they're like, you know, it's going to take a day or two for them to come back, you know, and they've made a new life, new memories, new way, new everything. And that's, I mean, I respect that as well. But at the same time, I know that I carry a certain, or we all, you all, carry certain, when it comes to family, that ancestral blood and that love that created you, okay? That energy that created you, it's imprinted within you. So I was so touched Sunday when I just was crying, and you know, my father was worried. He's like, I don't understand why you're upset. And it's just, it wasn't anger towards him, it wasn't anger towards anyone, or it was just my heart remembering that I am loved and that I have family. You know, it might not have been like my ideal family situation. You know, everyone's like that. Like, man, you know, I come from a dysfunctional family. Who doesn't? But it was just like going back home Sunday reminded me, it activated compassion, and it kind of soothed the frustration I felt for things that haven't changed and things that haven't healed with my family members. But it reminded me that the love that we have for each other is strong. And I may not understand, and it may not be my purpose in life to understand the psychological and spiritual and emotional motives behind things that have taken place in the past, whether it was good or bad experience. I just, it's the love that creates family. And for me, I mean, I thrive on friendships with family members. To me, I have this thing where you are family to me if I have a friendship with you. You are a relative to me if because we're only connected by blood. Friendship, for me to have friendship with family is, we have communication where it goes both ways. We're constantly checking up on each other to a certain extent. I don't come from a family that everyone's calling each other every single day and we're all on the same phone plan. Like, we don't have it like that. But there's a genuine, very deep love that runs in my families. And I say families because my mother and father's sides. But I say this, and I want to tie this into forgiveness in this way. When visiting with your family, when you're returning to your place of birth, your hometown, where you've had all your firsts, first love, first school, first experience at a fair, all these things, first heartbreak, first family loss, financial woes, financial successes. When you meet these beautiful human beings, whether they've been horrible to you, abusive, neglectful, had, addiction issues, psychological issues, like, it doesn't matter. When you go back home, may that love activate compassion in your heart. When you go on that visit to see your grandmother, when you go on that visit to see a newborn baby, I met my nephew for the first time. It was beautiful. And, we shared the couch together, and he kept me up all night, and I loved every second of it. I was not upset. I wasn't mad, not at all. And it he has a lot of energy, and it just being with him was a really beautiful moment. But when you go home, when you make arrangements, I'm specifically talking to people who either you have you've been away from home for quite a few years, and meaning you haven't seen anybody for well over 2 years. I would say, reach out to that person. Obviously traveling and stuff is still kind of slow due to the situation, global situation, but really allow your heart to practice compassion, because compassion for me is very, 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 very close to forgiveness, and forgiveness is love, and love is light, and light comes from source of all that is. Call it God, whoever. Have compassion when you're returning home, when you're returning to the place that gave birth to you. And I'm not talking about just your mother's womb. Your hometown is the womb. Your hometown is what made you. Your hometown is what shaped your views and said, I got to get out of here, or I want something different, or I want to do something that's going to challenge my upbringing. A lot of the negative experiences that we have in life are actually catalysts that pushes us and expands us to move forward and to do better for our ancestors, to do better than the ones that came before us. It helps us, it evolves us. So the negative experiences that I've had and that you've had, we need to use those things to help us evolve. And if that evolution means you got to go to Europe, to Africa, to Asia, to the other side of the United States, California, to wherever, then that's what you have to do to make that change in the bloodline, to evolve your bloodline. A role that you play in the ancestral realm. So, you know, I'm just so grateful. I got to see several members of my family. Obviously, yes, we played it safe. You know, I don't think any of us that I know of has had any cookouts or anything. But you know, it's as things are slowly opening up again. Just really take in consideration when dealing with very difficult memories or triggers, because I was triggered. I was emotionally and mentally triggered. You know, that hurt little inner child pops up. She wants mommy, she wants daddy, you know, and that's what I'm going to touch on in the next few videos here. But that's what I want to just share with you of forgiveness when you decide, when you're returning home to your hometown and to your family. And again, I want to thank Source, I want to thank Spirit, and I want to thank my family and my ancestors for such a beautiful, wonderful gift. I got there safely. I was, you know, it's been just a really nice time. I got back to my destination safely, and I am on the move. So the next place I'll be in will not be here. It will be somewhere else new. And I'm excited, but you know, it's been about a month being in this city, and I'm like, you know, I want to be in a much smaller, quieter, quaint place where it fits more of my vibe. I'm a very quiet, chill person, and the va-va-voom of city life doesn't appeal to me anymore. I used to be so excited, thought I was missing out on something, thought I had to be so sophisticated, you know, spending money on clothes, and it doesn't fit me anymore. There are other beautiful things I want to really focus on. So again, also my music channel, I am a little behind. I was supposed to put up a playlist for this Saturday, but I'm going to put up 2 playlists for Saturday. I'm going to work on that this week. So please be on the lookout for that. I'm also going to put up a new moon video tonight and also one for tomorrow. So make sure I stay on schedule for that. And yes, thank you so much for listening. And remember, returning home allows you to practice the art of forgiveness. Okay, it's going to activate how it is going to be a little test, I guess, to see how well you're open. How much is your heart open? You know, to those of you who are practicing forgiveness. So thank you so much for listening. Please, if you would like a personal reading. And no, I do not charge, but if you would like a personal reading, please visit www.silvertreesounds.com, and I would love to connect with you. Thank you so much.